Hello, everybody. Ken Faulkner coming to you with another knife video. This time, it's kind of a reaction to something I've been doing recently. Um, I got this spreadsheet. I think I've spoken about that, where I kind of keep track of all my knives. And I had a lot of information on there, brands, models, styles of the blade, blade steel, blade shape. Oh, style would be the lock generally and stuff like that. So I had a lot of information, and then I started adding on to it. Started getting into the country of origin type thing, just to kind of keep track of how many knives I have from different countries. Um, and then I put a column there for whether or not I made a video, because I was starting to get lost on what knives. I mean, if you watched my channel for a while, you'll know that I tend to kind of go through stuff in my collection. When I get something new, yeah, I bring that in. But it's mostly my knives, and so you're going to get a mix of that kind of thing. And then my latest column that I added was the price. And that got really interesting. Yeah, I was kind of curious because throughout my knife buying, I definitely started out cheaper, and I'm sure most everybody does that. Unless you come into the game with a lot of money, or you already collect other things and you already are used to shelling out a lot of money for things that you collect. It can be painful. It could definitely be painful. But the funny thing is that over time, that pain can kind of slowly kind of fade, and then you kind of move up to the next level, and then the next level, and the next level, and there's like a creep there. Certainly, one thing about watching knife YouTube is that I can always find somebody who's gone further down the rabbit hole than I have, and that's always good to have. But then I know then there's other people that are definitely aren't quite hitting the areas that I'm starting to get into. So um, I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm kind of in the middle-ish right now. Maybe it's higher. It's kind of hard to judge. Um, but I did a video a while back talking about first knife spending over $300 on, and I couldn't really honestly remember exactly which one that was. Maybe it was this guy right here, the no knives. That might have been it. So anyway, as I'm going through the prices and I'm putting down, what I'm doing is I'm looking at not really necessarily what I paid for the knife. And sometimes I gotta be honest with you, I don't even remember exactly how much I paid for them. So I know that, like this one here, I got a little bit cheaper than what is being asked for on the website because I bought it at a blade show. But this is an example of a knife in a range that I never really thought I was going to get to at first, and it really took a long time to kind of get past a certain threshold. Really, when I started getting into the $100 and over range, it was kind of, it felt a little nerve-wracking, but not so bad. Then I got over 200, and then it starts to get a little bit more like, okay, I'm going to do it this one time. This one time, I'm going to spend this much money, and after that, I'm good. I'm good, and that's kind of the way things go. A lot of people talk about collecting as a bit of an addiction. I think everybody's got things that they get addicted to in life, and some things are really bad. Other things are actually not so bad, but they all kind of need to be controlled to a certain extent. I know people that are addicted to working out, and it seems like a good thing, but you can go over the top with anything, So collecting is definitely something that you can go too far into. You can get yourself in trouble. I've been trying to avoid that. But anyway, so as my knife collecting kind of metamorphosized, I started trying to cut back on the number of knives, and I mentioned this before, and then get a little bit more into the higher end stuff. But I definitely feel like I'm still spending more money than I did before. Maybe one day I'll get into my spreadsheet and I'll start keeping track of it. Make a budget, a knife budget. Does anybody do that? Do you like say, probably not many. Do you say, okay, I got X number of dollars that I'm going to spend on knives, say for a month or for a year or whatever. I thought about doing that, but it got kind of scary because you get so anxious, and then you find that one knife, and then you have this opportunity, and it may be something that you have this opportunity you may never get again. So I mean, that's why it's kind of hard, and it's definitely a challenging thing. So I kind of wanted to get into some of the knives. With all this background talking about it, I want to get into some of the knives. Since that video where I talked about going over $100, $300, sorry, I've definitely done that several times since then. And I feel kind of like excited and a little worried. So we'll see how it all goes, and hopefully I can keep it under control. So far, so good. I still got, I'm still paying my rent, still paying my electric bill, got food on the table, all that good stuff. You got to get those four wall things, taken care of. You got to keep that stuff in check. Probably spend more money on knives than clothes or anything else that are kind of like, obviously you need, but you don't necessarily have to have the nicest clothes or cars or things like that. I don't spend as much money. Obviously cars are expensive, so you got to spend, but you need a car. But as far as like, fancy cars or whatever, the knives are the thing that I really want to spend money on. The other things are more like, oh, I don't want to spend this much money on this. But when you got to, right? With knives, it's like, I want to. It's a little bit different. So getting into this, I'm going to kind of, already 7 minutes in. Long explanation of what goes on in my brain. I got this whole set of knives. You kind of see the bottom hole, but here you go. These are the ones that I kind of picked out based on my spreadsheet. These are all ones that are kind of higher end cost-wise. One of them is not really a higher end cost-wise, but there's a reason why I have it out here, and I'll explain that when I get around to it. So I'm going to move all these guys out of the way because they haven't had videos done on them. You may have seen some of them already in other videos, but I haven't done individual videos on them. These ones, definitely more so, I've already done the videos on. As I go through these and I see price tags, I mean, this knife here is a Medford, obviously. Medford knife and tool. If I turn it right side up so you can read it. It's a little Medford. And that's kind of the fun thing about the video I did on this, but still, I mean, you buy a Medford, you're going to spend some money. And this one particularly tends to go for around $600. I mean, that's how much you're going to pay for it brand new off the website. I did get this one used. I got an incredible deal on this one. So a lot of the ones that I've had opportunities with that I wouldn't have had, probably not yet at least, came from some other knife YouTubers that I know. This one came from Nick Edwards. So if you watch his channel, and I recommend you do, because the thing is that he has great knives. I mean, I've seen knives on his channel that I haven't seen anywhere else. And I watch a lot of YouTube, knife YouTube, and he's got some interesting stuff. I mean, he really gets some stuff that you don't see, or just maybe you've seen them, but they're a little bit more, more on the realm of not everybody showing those. And he also is very into the blade steels. He's into sharpening and things like that. So he gets knives with different blade steels. This isn't one of them. I think this one is just a D2. But anyway, this is a Micro Praetorian, and it's a small little, very expensive knife for the size. And I would not have probably spent this much money. I probably would have saved up for one of the bigger Medfords if I was going to buy it. but he gave me such a sweet deal. I mean, really sweet deal. I just couldn't pass it up. It was my opportunity to kind of dip my toe in the water. Another one from Nick. By the way, his channel is Behind the Edge, and he does great stuff. Lots of good giveaways. This is a really cool knife. This caught my eye. And then he'll sell stuff a lot of times. A lot of things he gets for the channel he gives away. So you definitely want to check that out. But he also sells stuff, and then he'll have these sales, and he'll put them out there, and he gives great, deep discounts. Sometimes they're kind of expensive knives like this one. This one is a heretic or heretic. I still don't know how to pronounce that thing. But this one tends to go for like $450. It's an integral carbon fiber. So it's really a premium blade, and something that I still wouldn't have been able to have without Nick's great discount that he gave me on that thing when I bought it. So I highly recommend that you check out his channel and check out his sales and his giveaways for sure. This one was the Blade Show. Like I said, I bought this one just at Blade Show West. And I've already done a video on this one, so I'm not going to really cover that one too much. But that's Null Knives, the Voodoo. Now those goes off the side. And I'm going to pick out one from that set that I put up here that came from Blade Show, because I'm trying to get through those knives. And it fits into this category. This one, maybe not, this is kind of on the lower side of the price range. This one tends to show up on their website as $350 if you can get it. Vero is one of those companies that does small batch. They're going to be made in China. I believe the Best Tech is doing their OEM, but the design work on this is what really drew me to them, and I've always kind of had my eye on it. And this is like, I don't know if I'd call it quite a grail, but it's like a knife that I definitely wanted to get. And I did show this when I bought all my stuff from Blade Show as a batch, but I haven't talked about this one individually. And the reason why I picked this one is they got a lot of nice styles, and they all have this kind of language, this design language, this little cutout window that doesn't go all the way through. This is something typical you're going to see with Vero. They are relatively thin blade stock and thin handle, so when you hold it, it's not like as hand filling, but certainly in the pocket it's great. They have their pocket clip. You see that pretty typical on their knives. Sometimes they'll have like the mocha tie and fancy stuff like that. This was more of one of the lower end ones. It's got the liner lock, which is kind of like an interesting little sub thing where it's fairly thick liner on there, and I think it's just attached to one side. If you look inside here, it's very lightweight, and it's kind of just attached. It's inset into the frame. So it's a lot of design stuff, and I know from talking to the guy behind Vero Engineering, and I can't remember his name. Me and names, it's a struggle every day. But maybe a lot of you out there know who I'm talking about. But I talked to him at shows, and he is an engineer. I mean, certainly was an engineer. I think he's fully devoted now to knife making. But having worked in engineering for years and years and years, I can appreciate some of what he brought to the table when he designed these knives from his engineering experience. And so I always thought that was really cool. This is the Axon. So we're talking about a pretty good sized blade. Yeah, about 3.5 inch. So that's one of the things that I was looking for when I was picking out which one to get from him. But this kind of sheep's foot design is something that I kind of, and it's slightly different, just the way it's kind of angular design is something that I kind of associate in my mind with Vero knives. So I kind of picked this model as the one I wanted to get, and then I saw that they had this one at the show, and I'm looking at them and asking prices, and this was pretty heavily discounted. This one's normally, the price that I got on my spreadsheet is $350, so I must have seen that at some point, probably from their website. The Damascus, it's a good Damascus. It's very nice looking. Catching the light just right, you can really see it. It's not the Damasteel. They were openly explaining that to me, and I think if it was, it definitely would have been more money. But still, a very, very nice pattern, very nice looking Damascus, as far as I'm concerned. So anyway, I just really like that, and I like this model. I was definitely looking for it, and then when he told me that it was coming to me for, like, I think it was like 280 to 90 price tag. You know, when you're somebody that has a hard time breaking those barriers, and you get that price under 300 for something that you didn't think you'd maybe ever be able to get, because it's so hard to find these. And Blade Show, I've said it before, that's the opportunity I've had for a lot of things that I didn't normally find available. I don't really get into the forums as much and buy on secondary and whatnot. I know that there are people that are really good at that, but I just haven't got into it that deeply. But man, I was just super excited. So it's a great knife, very smooth. I guess one nitpick I have about it, and I don't know if I can get it. Yep, it's got that special opening, type of opening, the wrist flick. It's never opened in my pocket, and I know people like the detent, and I like it too, when you got that detent that really just pops out, But this one is so smooth. They just did such a good design with it, and I think that the tolerances are really nice and tight on it, that it makes it a smoother running on the bearings. This has got to be bearings. I don't think I've taken it apart, but it's just so smooth. It's got to be bearings. So it just closes and opens really smoothly. And another thing is that it's a front flipper, and front flippers tend to run with a little lighter detent because of the fact, especially those that know and don't have that many skills on the front flipping. I'm not the greatest, but I've managed to get to the point where I can do it pretty regular. But that's probably in part because he's got that lighter detent. So I'm not too mad about it. If I ever want to pop this thing out fast, of course it's not consistent. Sometimes it takes a few times before you get it out. And as long as it doesn't open up in my pocket and cut my hand, and when I reach down inside of my pocket, I'm good with it. So anyway, I'm going to be doing a series of these knives. Not going to get any more of them today because I'm already at 18 minutes, and try to keep these things a little bit shorter. But Vero Engineering, this is the first one of these kind of premium knives, and I'll be maybe sprinkling in some other stuff. One of these knives here is premium for a different reason, and I'll talk about it when I get to it. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments what you think about spending over $300 for a knife. Is that crazy? Tell me if I'm crazy. I don't know if it's going to do any good, but you can tell me. It's fine. I won't be offended, believe me, because I question myself every day. But it's happening. So why fight it? Just make sure that I have enough money to afford the next one. And I will see you guys on the next one.